Have you ever wished so deeply that the trees and birds seemed to listen? In a quiet village wrapped in mist and memory, a gentle girl named Ella lived with a heart so pure it seemed to glow even on the darkest days. She was the kind of girl who whispered to butterflies and knew the names of every bird that perched in the hazel tree outside her window. But her world shifted the day her mother, her only true companion, fell ill. Snowflakes danced outside the window the morning Ella sat by her mother's bedside for the last time. Her mother, pale and fading like winter light, cupped Ella's cheek with her trembling hand and said, "My sweet girl, no matter what happens, always be kind. Kindness will guide you home." With those words, her mother closed her eyes for the final time. They buried her beneath the hazel tree in the garden, the one where laughter once bloomed. Ella visited the grave every day. She spoke softly, as if the wind might carry her words into heaven. Her tears watered the earth, and from her sadness, the tree grew stronger, taller, as though it had promised to keep her mother's watchful spirit close. But spring brought changes far less kind. Her father remarried, choosing a woman whose smile was cold and whose eyes held no softness. She brought with her 2 daughters, girls who glittered on the outside but had hearts as sharp as thorns. They saw Ella not as a sister, but as something less. Her soft dresses were taken. She was given rags. Her room was the hearth, her pillow the ashes. They laughed and sneered and gave her a new name, Cinderella. Though they treated her cruelly, she remembered her mother's words. She rose before dawn to fetch water. She baked bread she wouldn't eat. She sang lullabies to the fire while it crackled and hissed, and still she was kind. One morning, her father was preparing to go to the fair and asked each of the girls what they would like him to bring. The stepsisters demanded silks, diamonds, pearls. When he turned to Cinderella, she answered softly, "Just a branch, dear father. The first one that brushes your hat on your way home." He smiled, puzzled but fond, and promised to bring it. Days later, he returned, arms heavy with gifts for the others. But to Cinderella, he handed a small hazel twig. It had brushed against his hat as he passed through the woods. Cinderella's face lit up as though he had handed her starlight. She took it to her mother's grave, planted it carefully in the earth, and wept beside it. Her tears soaked the soil, and the branch grew into a graceful hazel tree. And from its branches, a small white bird came to nest. The bird was not ordinary. It watched her with eyes that seemed to understand sorrow and hope. Whenever Cinderella knelt and whispered wishes, the bird tilted its head, listened, and sometimes, just sometimes, answered. Seasons passed. The world turned, and one day news swept through the kingdom like a breeze through barley fields. The king's son was holding a grand festival. For 3 nights the castle gates would open wide, and every young woman in the land was invited. The prince would dance each night and choose his bride from among them. Excitement filled the air. The stepsisters chattered endlessly about gowns and suitors and jewels. They demanded that Cinderella polish their shoes, sew their hems, and fasten their sashes. And she did, quietly, gently, even though her own heart ached to go. When all was ready, Cinderella gathered her courage and asked, "Please, may I go to the ball too?" Her stepmother scoffed. "You? With no dress, no shoes, no grace? Don't be ridiculous." Still, Cinderella pleaded. So the woman dumped a bowl of peas into the fireplace and said, "If you can pick them out from the ashes in 2 hours, you may go." Cinderella dropped to her knees, but as she reached into the ashes, she whispered toward the garden. At once, wings fluttered. 2 white doves swooped in, followed by turtle doves, blackbirds, robins, all the little birds she had ever whispered to beneath the tree. They picked, pecked, sorted, and within the hour, the peas were in the bowl, clean and bright. But the stepmother wasn't pleased. "Very well," she said. "Do it again. Twice as many peas this time." The task repeated. The birds returned. Even faster than before, the work was done. Cinderella held out the bowl with shining hope. But her stepmother only laughed. "You still have nothing to wear. You cannot go." As the carriage carrying her family rattled away, silence filled the house like fog. Cinderella stood alone by the hearth, her hands black with ash, her eyes heavy with longing. She stepped outside, through the garden gate, and stood beneath the hazel tree. Her voice trembled, but rang clear. "Shake, shake, hazel tree, gold and silver over me." And the bird descended, wings outstretched, holding in its beak a gown so fine it shimmered like sunlight on water, slippers of silk, soft as cloud, and glittering with tiny stars, dropped beside her. Cinderella twirled beneath the tree, dressed by kindness and magic. Her heart thumped as she made her way to the palace. The castle glowed with golden light. Music floated like perfume through the air. As Cinderella entered, the room hushed. The prince turned, and when his eyes met hers, he smiled as if he'd found something he hadn't even known he was searching for. He asked for her hand. She nodded, and they danced. They danced as though no one else existed. All night, he stayed at her side. He asked her name, but she only smiled. As the bells rang out the final hour, Cinderella slipped away, vanishing into the night like a dream. The prince chased after her, but she had hidden in the dovecote behind her home, her magical gown tucked beneath the hazel tree. The next night came. Once more, she called upon the tree. This time, her dress shimmered like morning dew and rose petals. Again, she arrived unnoticed and lit up the room. Again, they danced. Again, she fled, this time hiding in a pear tree. The prince waited until morning, but when the tree was cut down, she was gone. In the ashes, by the fire, Cinderella lay quietly, dust on her cheeks, but a smile just beneath. On the third and final night, her gown was spun from gold itself. Her slippers gleamed like polished sunrise. She glided into the ballroom, and the prince rushed to her as if his heart had never stopped looking. They danced closer than before, their laughter echoing through the chandeliers. But the stairs were different this time. The prince had them coated with pitch, sticky and clever. As Cinderella turned to flee, her golden slipper caught. She ran on, leaving it behind. The next morning, the prince rode through the land with the slipper in hand. "Whichever maiden this shoe fits," he declared, "will be my bride." The stepsisters were eager. The first tried the shoe, but her foot was too wide. Her mother whispered darkly, "Cut off your toe. When you're queen, it won't matter." She obeyed. The shoe fit, but barely. As they rode past the hazel tree, the doves sang out, "Look again, prince, look at the shoe. The blood tells the truth, it does not belong to you." Startled, he saw the red stain and turned back. The second sister tried next, her foot too long. "Slice off your heel," her mother urged. "A queen needs no feet." And again, she did, but once more, the doves cried out from the hazel tree. The prince returned, confused, weary. "Have you no other daughters?" he asked. The father hesitated. "Well, there is one more, but she is nothing, only ashes and rags." Still, they called her, and Cinderella stepped forward, wiping soot from her face. She removed her old shoe and placed her foot into the golden slipper. It slid on like it had waited just for her. The prince knelt. He looked into her eyes and knew at last that this was the girl who had danced into his heart. He lifted her onto his horse. As they passed beneath the hazel tree, the white bird circled above, singing, "Prince, prince, take home thy bride, for she is the true one that sits by your side." And so he did. Cinderella never sought revenge. She didn't need to. Her kindness had built something stronger than bitterness. It built a future. She ruled not with jewels, but with gentleness. She remembered every bird, every branch, every lesson whispered in the wind. Because even from ashes, light can rise, and even a girl with cinders on her cheeks can wear a crown, if her heart shines bright enough. So the next time someone tells you that you can't, that you won't, or that you don't belong, remember Cinderella, remember the hazel tree, and remember the bird that sang the truth for all to hear. And if this story stirred something warm in your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more magical tales. And ring the bell so you never miss a story where kindness always wins.